Welcome back, everybody, for the first episode of Season 4. So excited to dive into a topic that's both historical and, well, endlessly fascinating, the JFK assassination.
A perfect choice for a new season, don't you think? Especially as we're approaching the 30th anniversary and we're still grappling with so many unanswered questions.
Absolutely. And you, our astute listener, you've sent us a whole stack of articles from the fourth decade, a journal completely dedicated to JFK assassination research. So what's our mission for this deep dive? We're not going to try and solve the case, right? But instead, explore the arguments, the evidence, all presented in these articles. Think of it as a glimpse into how researchers, how they approach this historical puzzle.
Exactly. It's about understanding the methodologies, the
Yeah.
debates and the ongoing quest for the truth.
Okay, so let's get started. Let's kick things off with the editorial, Another Beginning. It kind of sets the stage, right, for this whole ongoing debate surrounding the assassination, even 30 years later.
Yeah, what really struck me was the editor's skepticism toward Gerald Posner's case closed. Posner argues that Oswald was the lone gunman, and it just seems like the media was so eager to just embrace this conclusion.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. Maybe there's a desire for a simple answer, right, to such a
Mhm.
complex event. But the editor of the fourth decade, they challenged this notion and emphasized the importance of continued research, critical examination of all the evidence. They're not satisfied with a simple, a convenient answer.
So they're advocating for a more nuanced and thorough approach.
Exactly. And that's where James R. Folliard's critique of Case Closed comes in. He basically dissects Posner's claims, right? Comparing them to primary sources like Warren Commission documents and witness testimony.
Sounds like he's taking like a detective's approach.
Yes. And he uncovers these discrepancies. For instance, Posner, he uses descriptions of the paper bag that Oswald was carrying to suggest that it was, big enough to hold the whole disassembled rifle. But Folliard highlights how Posner distorts the testimony of two witnesses, Fraser and Randall, to make that argument.
So Folliard is suggesting that Posner is intentionally misleading readers.
Well, he doesn't explicitly say that, but he points out how Posner combines elements of their separate accounts, to create a very specific and misleading impression. So Fraser mentions seeing the bag tucked under Oswald's arm, while Randall described it hanging from his hand. Posner blends these descriptions to support his claim about the bag's size, right? Even though the witnesses' individual accounts, they don't necessarily align with that conclusion.
It seems like this is a pattern with Posner's work, at least according to Folliard.
That's right. Folliard provides other examples of Posner's distortions, like misrepresenting the analysis of the single bullet theory.
And for those unfamiliar, the single bullet theory it's a key part of the Warren Commission's conclusion that Oswald acted alone.
Exactly. Folliard also claims that Posner omits crucial details about David Ferry, a figure often linked to conspiracy theories, and he argues that Posner selectively uses evidence, to portray Oswald as a psychopath while ignoring inconsistencies in Marina Oswald's testimony, Oswald's wife.
Would you say that Folliard's critique, it casts a shadow of doubt on Posner's whole book?
I think it definitely raises some serious questions about Posner's methodology and his objectivity.
And this is further emphasized by Jerry D. Rose's analysis of Posner's reliance on Oswald's so-called deadly smirk as evidence of guilt.
Oh yeah, Rose's piece is quite a read. So Posner claims that Oswald had this menacing smirk when arrested.
Implying guilt.
Right.
Rose dismantles this claim by highlighting how the witnesses that Posner cites either don't mention a smirk or they describe something, completely different. So again, we're seeing this pattern of Posner potentially cherry-picking evidence to fit a narrative.
It certainly seems that way. And these criticisms aren't just limited to, like a fringe group of conspiracy theorists. David M. Keck's review, Opening Case Closed, explores the broader reception of Posner's book,
Right.
highlighting the range of reactions.
What were some of the reactions?
Well, you have figures like historian Stephen Ambrose praising the book. On the other hand, you have researchers like Harold Weisberg, a longtime critic of the Warren Commission, offering scathing critiques.
Sounds like a very polarizing book.
It definitely sparked a lot of debate. And Keck, he dives into the details, pointing out these factual errors and misrepresentations in Posner's work. He also incorporates insights from other reviews, like Carrie Mack's notes on Case Closed and Eyes Closed, which provide further examples of Posner's shortcomings.
So we're seeing a pattern of researchers and reviewers pushing back against Posner's conclusions, raising concerns about his methods and accuracy. What does this tell us about the state of JFK assassination research?
I think it highlights the importance of critical thinking and continued scrutiny. The fact that these debates are still happening even 30 years later, it demonstrates that there's still this desire to understand what truly happened that day in Dallas. So it's clear that there are many unanswered questions surrounding the JFK assassination. And now that we've kind of explored the criticisms of the single gunman theory, let's delve into some alternative theories presented in these articles. One recurring theme is the possible involvement of organized crime.
Ah, the mafia. It seems like they're always a suspect in these kind of unsolved mysteries.
Right. John H. Davis's review of the Kennedy contract takes a close look at this theory. The book focuses on the claims of Frank Regano, a lawyer who represented, notorious mafia figures
Right.
like Santo Trafficante Jr. and Carlos Marcello.
So what did Regano have to say? Was he directly involved in any plots against Kennedy? Regano claimed that he was entrusted with a message from Jimmy Hoffa,
Yep.
the powerful Teamsters union leader. Hoffa, according to Regano, wanted Trafficante and Marcello to eliminate Kennedy. He also suggested that he overheard these mafia bosses making these cryptic remarks that hinted at their involvement in the assassination.
Hold on, how reliable is this Regano character? Wasn't he a mob lawyer?
That's the crucial question. Davis acknowledges that Regano's credibility is definitely up for debate. You know, mob lawyers, they're often deeply entangled in their clients' activities, so there's always this potential for bias.
So we should take his claims with a grain of salt.
Absolutely. It's important to consider the context, right? Regano himself, he was facing legal troubles at the time he made these claims. He was appealing an income tax evasion conviction. So his motivations are certainly something to consider.
Okay, so the mafia is one potential player. What other alternative theories did these articles explore? Well, another prominent theory centers around the CIA's possible involvement, as detailed in Ulrich Shannon's review of Robert Morrow's firsthand knowledge.
The CIA, that's a whole other layer of complexity. What kind of claims does Morrow make?
Morrow's book is it's a bit of a whirlwind. He claims to have worked for the CIA and had inside knowledge of their operations, including their involvement with anti-Castro Cuban groups in the lead up to the Bay of Pigs invasion.
So he's suggesting that Kennedy's assassination was some sort of revenge plot orchestrated by rogue CIA agents or their Cuban allies.
That's the general gist of his argument. He paints this picture of a CIA faction operating outside the bounds of legal authority, potentially with motives stemming from the Bay of Pigs fiasco.
That sounds like something out of a spy novel. But how much of this can we actually believe?
That's the challenge with Mara's book. Shannon's review, it does a great job of dissecting his claims, highlighting these inconsistencies, factual errors, and contradictions with established historical evidence.
So it sounds like we need to be just as cautious with Morrow's claims as we are with Regano's. It seems like a recurring theme in this deep dive is the importance of carefully evaluating sources.
Yeah.
And considering their motivations.
You've hit the nail on the head. When dealing with an event like the JFK assassination, where there's just so much speculation and intrigue, critical thinking is essential.
Absolutely. Now, these articles weren't just focused on the big players, like the mafia and the CIA, right? They also delved into some of the smaller details and lesser-known figures that often get overlooked in these discussions. What were some of the things that stood out to you?
There were quite a few. One that caught my eye was Richard Bartholomew's analysis of Dr. Berkeley's late arrival at Parkland Hospital. Berkeley was President Kennedy's physician, but he didn't arrive until after Kennedy had been pronounced dead.
That seems strange. Shouldn't the president's personal physician have been one of the first people on the scene?
You would think so. Bartholomew reconstructs the timeline based on witness accounts and footage, and it's clear that Berkeley's arrival was delayed. He doesn't offer any definitive explanations, but he raises some interesting questions. Was this delay deliberate? Could it have been part of a cover-up, or was it just a tragic consequence of the chaos and confusion that followed the shooting?
It's amazing how a seemingly small detail like that can raise so many questions. Were there any other intriguing pieces of the puzzle that caught your attention?
Well, another article that I found fascinating was Peter Whitney's update on Priscilla Johnson McMillan and her evolving accounts of Lee Harvey Oswald.
Didn't she interview Oswald when he first defected to the Soviet Union?
Yes. She was a journalist who interviewed him in Moscow. Whitney tracks her statements about Oswald over the years, and it's interesting to see how her descriptions of him they become increasingly negative after the assassination.
Do you think she was trying to distance herself from Oswald after he became infamous? Or could it be that her memories were being shaped by subsequent events and interpretations?
It's hard to say for sure. Whitney presents the facts and allows the reader to draw their own conclusions, but it's a good reminder that even eyewitness accounts they can be subjective and subject to change over time.
Especially with an event as traumatic as the JFK assassination. I imagine memories can be quite fluid.
Absolutely. And Whitney also delves into another intriguing figure, Charles Isaacs, a man who had connections to both Oswald and Jack Ruby.
Wait, the same Jack Ruby who shot Oswald. That's quite a connection.
Yeah.
What was the nature of Isaac's relationship with these two key players?
Whitney's research shows that Isaacs worked as a service manager at Love Field, the airport where Kennedy arrived in Dallas. He also uncovered a link between Isaacs and Ruby. Isaacs' phone number was found in Ruby's notebook.
It's a pretty significant detail. So Isaacs had connections to both the alleged assassin and the man who killed him. What did Whitney make of this connection?
He doesn't jump to any conclusions, but he highlights the need for further investigation into Isaacs's role. There's also a curious detail about Isaacs being spotted near President Kennedy after the landing at Love Field, although the exact context of the sighting remains unclear.
It's like we keep peeling back layers of an onion, and each layer reveals more complexity and more questions. It's no wonder this case continues to fascinate people.
It's a true historical puzzle. And then we have Lynn Nissensen's article, which focuses on a seemingly small detail, the P on Oswald's Russian language test.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How could a single letter on a test be significant in the grand scheme of things?
The Warren Commission, they interpreted the P as standing for poor, indicating that Oswald did poorly on the test. But Nissensen, he suggests an alternative interpretation, that the P could have stood for proficient, signifying a passing grade.
Ah, I see where this is going. If Oswald's Russian language skills were actually better than the Warren Commission believed, it could have implications for theories about his intelligence connections.
Exactly. It raises the possibility that Oswald had more extensive training in Russian than previously thought, perhaps hinting at a connection to the intelligence community.
It's a reminder that even the smallest details can have a significant impact on our understanding of history. Man, what a journey. We've gone from, a seemingly case-closed scenario to like a whirlwind of alternative theories, conflicting evidence, and all these intriguing figures. It's amazing how much depth, how much complexity there is to this event, even after 30 years.
Yeah, it's really a testament to the enduring power of this historical puzzle. And as we've seen, the JFK assassination, it isn't just about finding, those definitive answers. It's about grappling with ambiguities, the conflicting information, and the ongoing quest for a deeper understanding.
Yeah, it's like trying to piece together a puzzle, right? But with missing pieces. And pieces that don't quite fit. We've explored the criticisms of Posner's case-closed argument, and we've delved into those alternative theories involving the mafia and the CIA. We even examined, the roles of lesser-known individuals and these seemingly insignificant details that could hold the key to unraveling this whole mystery.
And throughout this deep dive, I think we've encountered a recurring challenge. The problem of conflicting information. Eyewitnesses, they provide different accounts of the same event. Experts, they disagree on the interpretation of evidence. Documents contain inconsistencies or omissions.
Which have to make your head spin. So how do we as critical thinkers navigate this sea of conflicting information? How do we determine what's credible and what's not?
That's the million-dollar question, and there's no easy answer. But I think the articles, the ones you provided, they offer some valuable insights. They underscore the importance of approaching this case, and really any historical event for that matter, with a critical and discerning eye.
You're absolutely right. We can't just passively accept information. We need to actively question it. Consider different perspectives. Evaluate sources carefully.
Exactly. Thorough research is crucial. We need to go beyond the surface level explanations, dig deep into primary sources, and consult a wide range of materials.
And we can't forget about open-mindedness. We need to be willing to challenge our own assumptions and preconceived notions, and be open to possibilities that might differ from our initial beliefs.
Well said. It's a call for intellectual humility and a recognition that the search for truth, it's an ongoing process, not a destination.
This deep dive has been a fascinating and thought-provoking journey. A huge thank you to you, our listener, for providing these incredible articles from the fourth decade.
And remember, the conversation doesn't end here. The JFK assassination, it continues to captivate and intrigue us, and there's still so much to uncover and to explore.
Keep digging, keep questioning, and keep the spirit of critical inquiry alive.
Yeah.